afternoon, Year 3. This afternoon I'm going to show you how to make some vegetable spring rolls. Now, I wonder why I'm going to do that. Just have a little think. Okay. Well, vegetable spring rolls are a very traditional part of Chinese cooking. And this week, Miss Winton is teaching you all about the Chinese New Year. So I thought it'd be quite nice if we actually made something, and actually I think Mrs. Stanhope and Mr. Craig are hoping that I'm going to make something for them, but we'll see. But this is a really simple recipe that you can do at home with your parents. And it's quite cheaty because I've bought the pastry, I've brought the vegetables already made, and basically all I've got to do is cook it. So, our ingredients, if we're talking about a recipe, it's a bit like instructions, we need some ingredients and we need some equipment. So I've got some phyllo pastry, which is a very, very thin, very fine pastry. You can actually make it, but it takes a long, long time and it is very complicated. So it's much easier to go to the supermarket and just buy some. Then I've got a bag of stir-fry vegetables. Again, you can do this yourselves, but it's much easier if you just go and buy a stir-fry mix of vegetables. And inside we've got peppers, onions, carrots and cabbage. I've also got some noodles, which I'm going to put in at the end as well. A nice part of when you're eating Chinese food is you can have prawn crackers, and yet again, we could actually make them, but it's much easier to go and buy them. And I've got some stir-fry oil, so it's a special oil to go in my special pan. Now this looks a bit like a frying pan, but it's very round and very big. Anybody got any ideas what they call it? Have a think? It's called a wok. And the reason it's this shape is so that the vegetables don't stick to the bottom, so that they all cook at the same time. So I've got my wok, I've got my ingredients, I've got a pastry brush, and I've got a baking tray to put my spring rolls on. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to put some oil in my pan, which is called a wok, and I'm going to get this to heat up quite, and it needs to be quite hot, so this is something that you would need to do with a grown-up with you. Okay, so just give it a second. So this is the part where if you've been cutting up your vegetables, and be careful if you are doing it that you don't cut your fingers, but it's got pepper in, it's got onion in, carrot, and it's all chopped quite finely, and some cabbage. And I'm going to put it, can you see the smoke coming off the top? That means it's hot. I'm just going to mix it round. Oh, and just a little reminder, just before I started cooking, I did something that we didn't actually film. Can anybody think what I had to do before I started cooking? Something that we have to do a lot nowadays. I washed my hands, and then I put an apron on. So I just have to cook these ingredients till they're quite soft. And when my ingredients are quite soft, I'm going to put a Chinese sauce inside. Now there are lots and lots of different sauces, which I'm sure You've all had different sauces if you've had a Chinese takeaway, but this one is just a Chinese sauce, just to make these a little bit more flavour. While they're cooking, I'm just going to get some noodles. Noodles are really good for you. Lots of protein. When we did our first topic in autumn, we talked about protein being good for you. And these are the noodles, already done, just to go in. Look a bit like spaghetti. It's starting to smell absolutely scrumptious. So I'm going to put a little bit of sauce in. And put just a little bit more sauce in. Okay, so my vegetables now are virtually cooked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them off and I'm going to let them cool, because obviously it would be quite dangerous if I try to do anything with them at the moment. And I'm going to show you now how to make the actual spring roll. So again, I've got my phyllo pastry and look on here. Open. And you can use phyllo pastry for all sorts of things. It's really useful for things if you don't want them. You won't use them for an apple pie, but if you did want to use something quite delicate, you would use phyllo pastry. So, what I'm going to do first of all, you can see it's really thin. You've got to be really careful with it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put this back in the fridge, because once it gets warm, it goes very much like paper. And obviously, when it turns like paper, we can't do much with it. So, I have got now a rectangle. So I'm going to make some squares or rectangle, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Obviously, when you're at home, you've got more time to do this. I'm going to put the recipe online as well, so you'll be able to use that. So, just going to put a little bit of the oil on the inside. Okay. And with a spoon. Now you have time to do this when you've got more, you have more time to do this than I have, but obviously I want to show you how to do it while it's still hot. So I'm going to put some of my vegetables into the middle of my phyllo pastry. And my phyllo pastry needs to look like a diamond, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it in half. Okay? So it makes a bit like a triangle. Okay? And then I'm going to fold it inside each corner here. I'm going to fold those over. Then, not bothering about that bit, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it up. And as I roll it, it turns into what looks very much like a roll. So, I'm going to put a little bit of oil on here. I'm going to get some oil on here as well. Why do you think we put oil on? Just for fancy? No, we put it on so that hopefully our spring rolls don't stick. Okay, so put that on. Again, and we're going to put these now into the oven, which again is probably something that you need an adult to help you with. So I've just done one there. Just do another couple. So spring rolls. Just do a couple more, and then what we'll do is we'll put them in the oven, and when they're cooked, we'll come back onto our video and show you what we've done. So again, we put them in the middle, fold our squares over, bring the corners in of the bottom part of the triangle, and we roll it over to the top. And we just put a little bit more oil on the top, because if we put a bit of oil on the top, it makes them go a nice golden brown colour. So then, probably asking a parent to do this, we put them in the oven at 200 degrees centigrade, which is really, really hot. Or if you've got a gas cooker, it would be gas mark 6. And we need to cook them for 25 minutes. Probably looking at them after 20 minutes, because these are quite small ones, so we don't want to burn them. But after about 10 minutes, then they've been in, you need to turn your rolls over. Okay? And then, once they're ready, you leave them to cool for a few minutes, and then you can eat them. We'll put the recipe online for you, and hopefully we'll put these in the oven, and we'll show you the end product in 20 minutes.